one afternoon changed everything. On one side of the stadium, a quarterback unraveled in real time. Missed throws, rash decisions, interceptions piling up like bad headlines. On the other, a corporate giant dropped a staggering $150 million endorsement that instantly crowned a rookie as a cultural phenomenon. That collision, an on-field collapse meeting a brand-name coronation, didn't just make for awkward TV. It turned a single game into a referendum on how modern football is run. Fans watching at home saw more than blown plays. They watched the optics of an organization come apart as social feeds filled with juxtaposed clips. The starter fumbling through reads, the rookie dazzling in practice films, a corporate announcement landing in the exact window that mattered most. Coaches exchanged looks, locker room tensions spiked, and national pundits smelled a shift. This isn't a one-game panic attack or a tidy mid-season storyline. This is the moment narrative trumped nuance. Behind the tweets and talk radio fury are real questions. Who decides the quarterback of the future? The coaching staff who live and die by tape? Or the corporations that can reframe a player into a brand overnight? By the time the final whistle blew, one thing was obvious. What happened on that field mattered, but what happened in the headlines mattered more. Stick around, because the fallout from this perfect storm won't just determine a starter for Week 2. It might rewrite how teams choose heroes in the age of social media and mega deals. Everything that could go wrong for Dillon Gabriel did, right from the opening snap. Passes sailed high, reads came late, and confidence evaporated with every possession. By halftime, the scoreboard wasn't just brutal, it was symbolic. 3 interceptions, 1 fumble, and a body language that screamed defeat. Teammates stopped clapping after incompletions. Coaches stopped defending him on the sidelines. The Steelers didn't need tricks or blitzes. They just let Gabriel beat himself. Every misstep looked worse under the national spotlight. Every replay slower. Every camera zoom tighter. It wasn't just a bad game. It was a public unmasking of everything critics had warned about. The inexperience, the hesitation, the lack of command. And while the Browns scrambled to hold composure, the rest of the football world watched a young quarterback crumble under pressure he never seemed ready for. But what no one expected was that his collapse would line up perfectly. While Dillon Gabriel's game spiraled into chaos, the real shock came from thousands of miles away. During the same broadcast window, Nike announced a jaw-dropping $150 million endorsement deal with rookie sensation Shedeur Sanders, a move that felt less like coincidence and more like corporate theater. The timing was perfect, almost cruel, as Gabriel threw his second interception. Nike's press release hit social media, flooding timelines with photos of Sanders in sleek gold-and-black gear, labeled the future of football. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. One quarterback unraveling on national TV. Another crowned the face of a global brand before even starting an NFL game. Within minutes, hashtags like #ShedurEra and #BenchGabriel began trending. It wasn't just an endorsement, and Cleveland fans suddenly realized their team's future might not belong to the man currently under center. Social media didn't just react, it detonated. Within minutes of Gabriel's third interception, timelines were flooded with memes, clips, and side-by-side comparisons of his collapse and Shedeur Sanders highlight reels. Hashtags like #BenchGabriel, #ShedurEra, and Cleveland Crisis shot to the top of trending charts nationwide. On Twitter, fans called for an immediate quarterback change. On Instagram, influencers mocked the Browns' development plan. Even TikTok joined the frenzy. Creators stitched together Gabriel's misfires with Nike's announcement, turning the game into a viral spectacle. Local reporters amplified the chaos, and radio hosts couldn't keep up with the outrage. What began as frustration, and the Browns' front office suddenly cornered by public opinion. This wasn't just criticism anymore. It was a digital uprising. Cleveland had lost control of the narrative, and for the first time in years, the entire football world was united on one point. The Sanders era had to begin now. Inside the Browns' locker room, silence said more than words ever could. Helmets hit the floor, linemen stared at the ground, and no one looked toward Dillon Gabriel. Players who once cheered his poise now whispered about blown reads and missed protections. One veteran receiver reportedly muttered, "We can't win like this," before storming off. Offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt was seen arguing with assistants, while head coach Kevin Stefanski sat stone-faced, caught between loyalty and logic. Privately, several players. The tension wasn't just about performance anymore. It was belief. Half the room still wanted to give Gabriel another chance. The other half believed Sanders' energy could save the season. Even assistant coaches were split. Stefanski faced the impossible: bench a struggling starter and appear weak, or stick with him and risk losing the locker room. Either way, the Browns' unity had cracked, and no post-game speech could tape it back together. Nike's move wasn't just a business deal. It was a masterclass in timing and influence. By announcing Shedeur Sanders' $150 million partnership during Dillon Gabriel's worst game, Nike turned a brand statement into a public power play. Executives knew they sold a narrative. One quarterback represented struggle and uncertainty, the other, style and future dominance. Behind closed doors, Browns officials reportedly questioned whether the brand's move was coincidental or calculated. But everyone knew the truth. This was corporate America declaring its quarterback of choice. The message was clear. In modern football, talent still matters, but marketability decides everything. Coaches may call the plays, but brands like Nike control the spotlight. For Dillon Gabriel, the fallout was immediate and brutal. Monday morning, headlines didn't read "tough loss." They read "collapse." Analysts picked apart every throw, every hesitation, every glance of panic on the sideline. His stats told one story, but his body language told another. A young quarterback crushed under pressure, unsure where to look next. Inside the Browns facility, confidence in him evaporated overnight. Trade rumors started swirling, and sources claimed front office staff were already exploring alternative options. Teammates grew distant, reporters relentless, and fans unforgiving. What was supposed to be a redemption season after his suspension had turned into a career crisis. Gabriel's name trended online, not for promise, but for failure. He wasn't just battling opposing defenses anymore. He was fighting perception itself. And in today's NFL, once a quarterback loses that battle, there's rarely a second chance to win it back. While Cleveland unraveled, Shedeur Sanders stayed silent, calm, composed, and laser-focused. No victory posts, no subtle jabs, just film study and preparation. When reporters chased comments about his record-breaking $150 million Nike deal, he simply said, "Work first, everything else follows." That quiet confidence spoke louder than any highlight reel. Training camp clips showed him threading impossible passes, reading blitzes like a veteran, and celebrating teammates' success instead of his own. Coaches noticed. So did players. The locker room began to shift, not through speeches, but through presence. Sanders carried himself like a starter without ever needing to say it. To fans, he wasn't just a quarterback waiting his turn. He was a symbol of hope, professionalism, and potential redemption for a franchise drowning in drama. The question wasn't if he'd play, it was when. And deep down, everyone in Cleveland already knew the answer. The Shedeur Sanders deal didn't just shake Cleveland, it sent shockwaves through the entire NFL. For the first time, a brand, not a team, dictated the future of a franchise. Nike's $150 million bet on a rookie quarterback turned endorsement deals into power plays, and front offices around the league took notice. Scouts, agents, and owners realized a hard truth. The modern NFL isn't just about arm strength or accuracy anymore. It's about influence. Marketability now sits beside mobility on every scouting report. Young players are being evaluated not only for how they perform on Sundays, but for how they trend on Mondays. Gabriel's collapse and Sanders' coronation marked a turning point, the moment when narrative officially overtook performance. Corporate empires had entered the locker room, shaping who plays, who sits, and who sells. The Browns became a case study for a new era of football, one where image and endorsement may decide the next dynasty more than touchdowns ever will. The Cleveland Browns now stand at a breaking point, a franchise defined by decades of quarterback chaos, facing its most pivotal choice yet. Kevin Stefanski can stay loyal to the playbook and stick with Dillon Gabriel, risking his locker room, his season, and maybe his job. Or he can hand the keys to Shedeur Sanders, the rookie crowned by Nike, adored by fans, and already branded as the future. Either decision carries weight far beyond football. One symbolizes tradition and patience. The other, adaptation and survival in a new era where corporations shape legacies as much as coaches do. But after Sunday's disaster, patience is no longer a luxury. The fans have spoken, the sponsors have chosen, and the headlines have made their verdict clear. Whether Cleveland admits it today or next week, the outcome is inevitable. But Shedeur Sanders' era has already begun. The only question left is how much more damage the Browns will take before they finally make it official.